Welcome to Will Throw the After Party, and perhaps more importantly, welcome back, Sly. We've been missing you over the past few weeks,
and you so good to be back.
Tonight. Beautiful flower crown. You're like ready to be back live on air, live on the internet.
Yeah, first show back. Very exciting. I, of course, put in my notes days ago that we should all wear flower crowns. And then everybody today was like, we don't have flower crowns. So, I'm rocking my Target Pride flower crown, shout out Rainbow Capitalism. And I'm ready to be here.
Perfect. You know what? I love it. And you rock it for all of us. So thank you for bringing that to the table tonight. Hello, everybody watching. Hello, Claw. First time back in months. So happy to have you live with us. Sylvan, hello. Finn, hello. And hello to all the replayers watching. Nice to see you. Nice to have you back with us. I'd like to know in the comments who follows us on Twitter and has seen the most incredible gift Marissa could have ever possibly gifted me to help promote tonight's show. I was just minding my own business. You'll hear more about what I've been up to in the rant section. I was just minding my own business, doing my work on my laptop, and I get 5 notifications on my phone. And I'm like, oh, that must be the show promo going out. And I read it, and it says, Liz has 24 hours to post as many Timothée Chalamet photos as she wants. And I was like, drop everything now. This is my time to shine. Marissa, thank you for being so wonderful to me. I don't know if you had enough time to really do a ton of promo for tonight, so feel free to drop that anytime you want promoting the show. I have never run out of content to share.
Yeah, it was great. It just seemed like the right thing to do. For the first time, we are officially discussing Timothée Chalamet's projects.
It's true. And you did drop some incredible memes from Little Women for tonight's show on Twitter, especially of Miss Saoirse. Oh my God. How many times am I going to stumble on Saoirse Ronan? Saoirse Ronan's name tonight. We can get a tally going. So if you haven't seen Marissa's incredible memes of the week, please do, because Marissa works very hard on them and they never fail. I always get a good chuckle out of them. A great shout out in the chat about Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, which we dedicated a whole episode to. Alexis, have you been keeping up with Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur?
I recently reread a bunch of the comic run, but I haven't been keeping up with any of the TV show updates. No.
I've been seeing lots of love for it, though, online. And if you missed that episode, you can go back and rewatch. We dedicated a whole episode to talking about how cool that franchise is. And once it becomes more accessible in Canada,
yeah,
perhaps I'll watch more. But yeah, definitely go back if you missed that one. How's everyone been? Let's talk about what we've been enjoying this week, what we've been up to this week. Sly, I know that you haven't been with us for a few weeks now, and you have a lot of updates to give. So why don't we cut to you a few times in this segment? You can just drop everything that you've been sharing or watching or reading or playing over the past few weeks. Do you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I'll start with what I've been watching because it's probably the most fleshed out segment here. Obviously, we all know, big 911 person. So we did have the finales this week, which were a lot. Lots of feelings, some good, some bad. And I'm just so excited for next week, the return of Thirsty Thursday. We're going to break down all 3 finale-ish episodes. And JJ and I have pretty similar feelings on the episodes. However, most of our feelings tend to be the opposite of what we've seen from the fandom writ large. So that'll be a very exciting show if you want some hot takes all about 911 and Lone Star. But we are also doing next week another host takeovers episode for this show, where I am forcing all of my lovely friends to watch the Taylor Wong Cinematic Universe, which is all of the episodes of 911 OG that were written by Taylor Wong, who I over a year ago now, did a rant about why she was the best writer on 911, and all of the episodes we've gotten from her this season continue to prove my point. So that's very exciting, celebrating the 1 year since we had Max Gao on the show, and it's just gonna be a great frickin' time. I have another thing I'm watching, but I think you should cut to somebody else, and I'll get back to it.
Okay, we'll cut to someone else. Marissa, what have you been watching, enjoying over the past week?
Started with Queen Charlotte. Watched it all in one night. Broke my brain a little bit. And then I rewatched Crashing because we finally got to look at Jonathan Bailey as Fiero in the Wicked movies, and I genuinely lost my mind, and I'm still picking up the pieces.
Wait. We have to go back to the Miss Abobissa Twitter timeline. Can you walk us through the series that you set us up with for that moment? Because it truly was spectacular.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You said like, how long will it take after we see him the first like look or like the leaks of the Wicked set before I go on a full Jonathan Bailey rabbit hole binge watch?
Yes, I did tweet, place your guesses for how long it will take me to revisit one of his previous projects. And the final count was 9 hours. But that was mostly because I was at work for the rest of the time.
Nothing to do with your sleep schedule. It had nothing to do with spare time, everything to do with you were stuck at work.
Yeah. But yeah, I will touch on Jonathan Bailey as Fiero a little bit more in just a moment. But the last thing I've been watching recently, which I'm almost done with, is The Great on Hulu. And it's very silly, goofy to go from Queen Charlotte to The Great because they are the same time period, very different, like, energy, different places in the world. It's very funny. But yeah, that's been really fun.
Mm-hmm. It's really been a fun time to be following Miss Abobissa on all platforms. I'm not going to lie to you.
We're just living in the Georgian era.
and truly, I love that for you.
And that's in the highlight reel. Already, we've done it. We've started off tonight's show so strong. Okay, so I'm going to cut back to you. What else have you been
You all have made the fatal mistake of not telling me to shut up about talking about sports. So I am entering my insufferable fan of the WNBA era. Mm. It is opening weekend for the Dub this weekend. And so I'm just going to give you some unsolicited breakdown of the games I've seen so far this weekend. We started with the Liberty and Mystics game, which was very hyped because Liberty is this season put together a bunch of big stars, and so people are calling them like a super team. Didn't start out very strong, not a lot of cohesion. They look like they haven't played on a floor together for very long, which they haven't. But I think they're going to have a really strong back end of this season. Once they just get used to each other, it'll be great. But Washington came to ball out. They looked incredible. Great time overall. The other game yesterday was the Mercury at LA. The return, the first game back for Brittany Griner. Very emotional. I cried 3 times. Diana Taurasi looking incredible as always. They, have a lot of people injured right now. BG's still not at 100%, but once they get healthy, that team's going to be really strong. Sparks look great. I am obsessed with their uniforms, their side paneling details. So cool, so fun. Great time for that. I'm also looking forward to the Sparks game later this week against the Aces because it'll be Derica Hanby doing her thing against the team that had all the issues, and luckily the coach will still be suspended for that game. So we love to see it. And then today was Atlanta. I don't remember who they played. They were pretty solid. You know, they're doing a basically whole team rebuild and just putting pieces into place, held their own pretty solidly. And then, of course, I have to rep the fam, the Storm game today. Whew. It was tough emotionally. They were not set up for success. Whoever designed the schedule was not working in their favor, playing the Aces, you know, the previous champions. They are a brand new team. There's 3 people on the Storm who have played professionally before. They're young, they're new, and like the Aces look great and they have some awesome people, and I'm rooting for the players, but it's hard to root for them as a team. But the Stars, they have pieces, they look good, and I'm just so excited to see all the youngins grow this season. So yeah, looking forward to the Mercury game later this week. Looking forward to that Sparks game. And I don't usually watch a ton of other games. I usually just mostly focusing on the Storm. But the thing about the W that I love so much is that it's hard to root against anybody. Like, it's just all women being excellent and, you know, being excellent players and doing their thing. And I love when women.
It's literally
That's
the
it.
meme of Little Women of Saoirse Ronan going, women!
Yeah, that was me watching all of the season opener games for the dub this weekend. Hockey, who knows her? I completely forgot there was a hockey game tonight. I was so excited about
Okay, well,
Sports
let's
game.
hard cut to your other half, just Alexis Blake. Alexis, I feel like you have something to say around this very touchy subject.
Some of us did not forget that there was a hockey game tonight. Listen, when we planned the schedule for this show, there were so many things that we considered, right? We talked about like who was going to be where, when, and where we were going to be broadcasting from, and who was going to be on vacation, and like what school schedules were, and who needed a break, and like what projects were coming out. And at no one's radar at any time was, well, what happens if the NHL playoffs contradict with our show? Like it wasn't on anybody's radar, right? We weren't talking about it. Like it was not in the room to be discussed. And I would like to put forth now that it does need to be on the floor for next year, because I cannot go through this again. And we are 20 minutes into a game. But for those of you who don't know, the Panthers are playing the Hurricanes right now in the NHL playoffs in a game that started at 8:00. And I briefly considered doing both these things. I was like, I will do the after party and I will watch the game at the same time. And then I thought about my date night.
I definitely have the game pulled up right now.
I thought about my date night in which I had tried to do that and failed spectacularly, right? Like I could either babble nervously, or I could watch the game, or I could like contribute to conversation. But like I was not giving my all to any of those things, right? Like there were half eaten like vegan cheese sticks that I had like taken a bite out of and then like got distracted by Bucky and then like put right. And if I could not get through that with the most forgiving partner in the world, I knew I could not do it here. But I would like to shout out to our audience and say, audience, dear readers, listeners, watchers, if you happen to be consuming us and the playoff game at the same time, and you want to text me updates, you should text me about the following things, okay? If there is a goal,
just throw them in the comments. Just interrupt the show and put them directly in the comments
that
here.
works too, yeah. If there's a goal, or they take a goal back, damn you. If
they did do that.
They did do that. If a penalty occurs, if Matt Tkachuk does anything at all, bonus points for if you notice that he has kept his mouth guard actually in his mouth where it is supposed to be, or if he doesn't handle a celebration well. Like those are things that you need to like red alert me about, right? High priority. If Barkov exists, if the goalies are doing goalie things, especially Bob, and of any and all music choices, because I was very unimpressed by the music choices from the last Panthers Hurricanes playoff game. So,
for context, when I am watching hockey and Alexis isn't, Alexis gets all of the whatever's currently playing in the stadium updates.
I do. I get music updates, and they were not great last playoff game. Oh, what else did I want to say? That I am a little concerned because the last time Sly and I were together while a hockey game was happening, it went into quadruple overtime. And we are not
I do feel personally rough.
But I cannot handle another quadruple overtime. I didn't handle the first one, okay? I can't do it again. There's this like meme going around of Kachuk like scoring and then ordering everyone to like get off the ice so they can go to bed. That is me, right? I cannot handle that. So do not put me in that position, universe, please and thank you.
Okay. You guys have your orders. Sylvan is apparently watching the play-by-play, but can't find it streaming. Okay, so we have some
TNT if you're in the States. I don't know what your CBC. I don't know what the Canada equivalent is.
I was also mad that I couldn't watch a Canadian stream of this very American game, by the way.
The Canadian streams are great. The Canadian hockey commentators are some of the best.
They're awesome. And when I watched the Oilers playoffs, I watched like the American stream and then I would watch the Canadian stream the next day and it was great. And when I was trying to watch the last Panthers playoff game, I was like, we really need to just switch to the Canadian stream that doesn't exist when both teams that are playing are American.
So in Canada, here's the fun fact. Did you know that you can watch hockey commentary in Cree and in Punjabi?
Slay.
It's so
Super
fun.
Slay, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
So, I mean, Canadian hockey commentary, literally next level. Okay, Sly, I know you have more on your list. Can we rapid fire through some of them?
Yes. I picked up a bunch of YA books to send to people a while ago. And I read them before sending them to people, and so that was fun. I won't say too much about them because they are for my wife and JJ, who both watch the show. But yeah, read some gay books. And then I also read a fanfic where one of the characters played Stardew Valley, and I've owned Stardew Valley for like years, like I think I bought it in like high school, like forever ago. And I tried to play it once. I opened it, I got overwhelmed, and then I never touched it again for years, like 6 years or something, right? And then I read this fanfic where the character played it to like, deal with life or whatever. And in the fanfic, the character realized you could romance Stardew Valley character that reminded them of the person in that universe that I shipped them with. And so then I started playing Stardew Valley because of that fic. So yeah.
Beautiful. I love that. That's a perfect story. That is everything you'd like in an arc. I'm obsessed. I love that. Okay. I have some things that I've been enjoying, although most of my life has not been enjoying anything this week. If you know, you know. So let's talk about the things I have been enjoying. My life had a few things I started because a lot of things came out this week. Queen Charlotte, I got 3 episodes in. The Diplomat, I am almost on episode 2. Lots of good shows came out and I decided to jump into them. And then life said, what if? What if? So I have not watched anything since Sunday. I was so pleased to jump into Little Women. It was like coming into a nice like hot tub of a show for me to watch. But the other thing I was enjoying was the afternoon special podcast with Bobby. I binge listened the other day. I got through like the Fangirl series. I got through the teenage series of Bobby did. Bobby's brilliant. So the afternoon special podcast, also the Disney Princess episodes that are new that you should listen to, the Little Mermaid history. Marissa and I was going to text Marissa to see if Marissa was listening, and then saw there was a text from Marissa saying, oh my God, the episodes are so good. And I was like, see, marriage, so good. So that's been my week. Sly, do you want to finish off your list and then we'll jump into rants?
Yeah. I have also been listening to something very exciting. Speaking of the W, there's a new podcast called Queens of the Court, hosted by Jordan Liggins and dub icon Cheryl Swoops, and it is very good. Jordan Liggins, she got married. She has a new last name, Robinson. Jordan Robinson, I think. She's been a guest on Horse, which is one of my other favorite basketball podcasts, a bunch of times. So they shouted this out. It's a couple episodes in. It is incredible, like absolutely, like my new favorite podcast. So good. Even if you're not a huge fan of the dub, if you're not a huge basketball person, I think it's just a really quality podcast. So definitely check out Queens of the Court.
I love it. I love it. I love a podcast recommendation from Sly because you know that Sly would never ever recommend a podcast unless it's been thoroughly vetted. That's one thing about you and your recommendations is that they're never like, I listened to one thing and thought you might like it. And Alexis is the same. Alexis is like, I think you'd like this. And I'm going to give you a lot of reasons why. And it convinces me every single time. Every single time. It's great. Okay. This is a really exciting episode. If you haven't seen Little Women, if you've seen other versions of Little Women, I see we have some convo in the comments about Little Women. No matter where you're coming into tonight's conversation from, I think you're going to get a lot out of this episode. And maybe it'll convince you to watch the 2019 version if you haven't. But before we jump into that, why don't we rant a little bit about some rants of the week? What do y'all say? Shall we?
We shall.
Okay. We shall. Marissa, what are you ranting about this lovely evening?
Well, blanket statement, disclaimer, I usually plan at least some of what I'm going to say. I've thought nothing about this.
Wait. Sorry. Why did I get rid of Alexis? What did I do? Hold on.
Disrespect.
Oh, no.
The disrespect. Okay,
no.
Hold on. Now, where did our screen? Wait.
Elizabeth.
There we go. Okay. I'm going to fix this. Marissa, keep talking about what you're going to rant about.
Okay, the disclaimer was that I haven't planned anything I'm about to say, but I will be ranting about the Wicked movie and how it has consumed my entire brain capacity.
I love it. That's beautiful. It's exactly what I want to hear from you tonight, actually. You can be more on brand if you tried.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Sly, what are you ranting about this evening?
Can I just read what I wrote verbatim?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so I am pitching what the cycle of social media for sports teams should be if I were their social media coordinator. AKA, I have 98% of a social media and public engagement degree, and I'm using this rant as a job application.
Beautiful. Oh, I love it. Okay, wait, hold on. I think, what happened? Isn't that great? Okay, let's try that. Alexis, what are you ranting about this evening?
Hockey.
In the surprise twist.
Wait, hold for 5 seconds. I have to text Alexis.
I am, a couple weeks ago, we started this thing where I was going to rank the names of each hockey team and like one division at a time based just off of vibes. At this point, it's not based just off of vibes. I mean, sometimes it is, but sometimes it's like I'm invested with whatever. And then I tried to give differences in like vibe ratings and name ratings. That has been very inconsistent. The only thing that has been consistent are my 4 ranking roles, right? Mm-hmm. Which is that there is positive ranking for ice related mm-hmm. names, mm-hmm. Particularly if they have a cute animal, ice animal mascot. There's a positive rating for fire related names because the fire melts ice, but just really because I was on a flames kick at the time that I came up with this list. 3, like if there was a cute mascot, it was ranked well, and 4, if it's the Oilers, is ranked well. Those are the criteria. That's the only consistency that we're working with here. I don't even know what division I'm doing today. husband? What
There's
division?
the
of husband?
Atlantic division, and this is the one that has the most absurd names. So I'm personally very excited for this one.
Okay, fantastic.
I think there's also a rule here that needs to be said that Alexis isn't wrong. This is not
No,
a series
she's
where like
empirically correct. Yeah.
Oh, I did want to apologize though, because I think I said some sassy things about the Coyotes a couple weeks ago, and the Coyotes may not exist anymore, and I'm really sad about it. So I'm sorry. Your mascot is really cute, and I didn't mean to be sassy and ruin your livelihood.
Oh my god. The role Alexis plays in the downfall of hockey organizations must be studied.
That's so funny.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna be ranting about a video that I've been working on. I've put like I think 10 hours into this so far. I'm not even close to being ready to share it, but I'm gonna give y'all a sneak peek and I'm gonna explain kind of what I'm cooking up. And I'd just love to hear what you think about it. / I'm gonna rant about why the hell did I decide to do a video based on a spreadsheet? That's really what this rant is about. So that's me. Marissa, would you like to kick things off this evening?
I guess so.
It's because I'm so excited to hear what you have to say, and I don't.
What order are we going in though?
Okay, we'll go Marissa,
me.
Sly, Alexis, Liz. Okay, around the circle. Ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, what I wrote in our rant section of the show doc is the only thing on my mind is Wicked, but that's repetitive. And that repetitive was strucken out by someone else, I think it was Sly, and was replaced with brand consistency. And I am so proud that my brand has become Wicked. And God, I just love it so much. It is truly taken up my entire life, and I've never been prouder. I went home to my parents' house and picked up my Grimmery, brought it back home, and I've been reading it every day.
All right. So the first section, we're going to talk about the off season. The general arc of that is team, community, fans. So like, what does it mean to be a fan of the team, capital? Why people should be invested in the team? This is where you can like super highlight your community outreach, your fan interactions, and like the whole focus of your like off season should be on your community building with your social media, like getting those connections.
Okay, first it looks like we have the Boston Bruins. I feel like this is supposed to mean something that's important to Bostonians. I don't know what it means. And since it's not clear to other Americans, you get a 3 out of 10. Then we have the Buffalo Sabres, which may be the most absurd name that I've ever heard. Like, why are you just the Buffalo Swords? And it also concerns me because I went to an institution where our mascot was a top hat, and it feels like that's what's happening. That's what could happen with the sword situation.
There was a very contentious conversation for like 5 days on Twitter earlier this year, which means it lasted about 5 years in real world time, about how there's no Hollywood stars anymore. There's no movie stars anymore. And it was this very interesting like generation divide conversation about what makes a movie star and why we don't have movie stars anymore. And I have always fundamentally disagreed that movie stars don't exist, and I wanted to prove why I'm right.
Also, while I was at home at my parents' house, I went through all of my playbills from all of the shows I've seen, and I went through all of my Wicked playbills, which I have seen 5 times in 3 different states. I do own 6 Wicked playbills because at one point in my life, when my parents would see a show, they would bring me one of their playbills. So I'm really not clear which of the Chicago dates was actually when I saw it and when my parents saw it. But that's fun and interesting. I learned a lot about the like cast members that I had seen that I hadn't realized, and I was like, oh, that's like a person that's important now.
Next, you have the preseason / early beginning season, right? This is about like the players and the personality. So it like help the fans get to know names and faces, give people somebody to root for, like know who's there to support. And that'll help develop a rapport between the players and the content team. And also you got to establish the personality of the team as a brand and set expectations.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was distracted by actual hockey that was happening. That's my bad. Okay, then we have the Detroit Red Wings. 3 out of 10. It sounds like a baseball team, and I don't even want to figure out what your mascot was. I was laughed when I said that the Kraken mascot should have been like a single tentacle. So like, these are stupid. Then we have the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers get a 9 out of 10. Why? Don't ask questions. Then we have the Montreal.
Oh my God. Okay. So basically, I am trying to prove using math that Hollywood superstars and movie stars exist. And I've had to create a whole bunch of criteria to make a case. And I thought it was going to be a TikTok that would be under 3 minutes. And I think I have probably an hour's worth of material, if not longer. So it's going to be a YouTube video. It's going to be really exciting for all of you to watch if you want. And I have a spreadsheet of like 100 celebrities under the age of 30, so 29 or younger.
I will now spend the next minute explaining why Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero in the Wicked movie is the most important thing that's ever happened to me, because I have not stopped thinking about it since the day he was announced as Fiyero. It was September 21st, 2022. Don't ask me why I know that. I just do. And truly, it has taken over my life. And I was actually scared for how I was going to react to the first look at him as Fiyero. And I have now seen it. And I can tell you that it
So now we get into the mid-season. This is where you like highlight the traditions, the routines. You can do like day in the lifestyle content, game day routines, like what does that look like for players, staff, content team, away game differences, all that good stuff. Any player traditions, like if 2 or more players have a cute thing they do together, highlight that. Team traditions, like anything that's like special to your team that you do, which can lead into.
We have the Montreal Canadiens. And I'm hoping this is some French situation that I'm just not understanding, because it really just looks like Canada. And I think that's bizarre. So since I don't understand it, we're going to null that one. Then we're going to go to the Senators. Who I didn't realize we're good.
Oh no, you can finish your thought.
No, listen.
I insist.
You need to get...
Fine. We can talk about my math, and I'm going to come back to that and give you more time to talk about it, because I'd like to hear all about your thoughts on the Senators. Okay, so basically there's celebrities on a list. We're scoring them based on awards and their portfolio, and we're trying to find the people that are as famous for the High School Musicals of the world as they are the Oscar winners of the world.
I had another point and I don't remember what it was. Basically, my reaction to seeing Jonathan Bailey as Fiyero for the first time was lump in my throat, like genuinely thought I might puke, like rush all over my body. I was on a bus. It was bad. It was really bad. I needed to scream and I was in public and I couldn't. I have not been able to stop thinking about it. It is literally in my phone background now is him. And it's thank goodness.
All right. So your team traditions leads you into ramping up to the playoffs postseason. This is where you focus on like the technical info, the league info, and like franchise history. Give us stats, awards, etc. Give fans an opportunity to learn about team history or remember it. Give out more technical sport info. Bring your new fans into the know. Give information about your league, how and why things work the way they do. And then like game recaps, crazy moments, dramatic upsets, all the fun playoff stuff.
I was really concerned about getting through the Panthers, and I got through the Panthers just to lose it over the Senators. Then we have Tampa Bay Lightning, and I know something about Tampa Bay Lightning, but I don't know what it is, which is terrifying because it could be a person or it could be a wag jacket. Who's to say? So that's going to put us at like a 5 out of 10 because maybe it's ice lightning. I don't know. And then we have the Maple Leafs, and I think the Maple Leafs are ridiculous. I truly do.
Sorry, I didn't have my thing on my mute button, but I agree with that take on the Maple Leafs. Okay, so we're also scoring things like it factor, publicity, social presence and impact, and also people that have done really well on TV that I think as soon as they do a movie will be considered a movie star. There's a whole bunch of people that have slayed in TV and have not made their transition over yet. And currently we've scored all of the IMDb and awards ratings, and it's shocking. And that's the end of the rants, everybody. Wow, what a treat. I had so much fun.
And it's shocking. That's how it ends.
That was a fun one. Alexis, I agree with all of your takes. I just really wanted to hear what you had to say about the Senators, which is why I came this close to the camera.
That's not. My feelings about the Senators have nothing to do with your close eye contact, and it has nothing to do with the fact that they're called the Senators. This is Brady's team, yeah? Brady has the C on the Senators with Tim Schultz also on the Senators.
Yeah.
Okay, then
It's Brady and Jimmy. Yeah.
we're just not gonna rate that one, and you can figure out why on your own. Congratulations.
I do have to say, on behalf of the state of Michigan, I'm deeply offended by your Red Wings ranking.
I'm sorry, it sounds like a
But is
baseball
she
team.
wrong?
I have issues with hockey team names that sound like baseball team names.
It's all sports teams in Michigan are based on cars. It's the wheel. It's a
That makes
winged
it worse.
wheel of a
It
car.
drops down now that I know it's based on a car.
The basketball team is the Pistons.
Is the mascot just a wheel?
No, it's a wing. It's a literal red wing. It's like the original was a wheel with a wing, and now it's just a wing.
This feels like we're getting into blue troll territory.
I don't know.
I know, man. Okay, I love that this is now a recurring like sub segment of a segment on our show. We have rants and we have the hockey team rating segment with Alexis. It's great. It's great hockey quality media. I think we should start promoting our show as a hockey commentary show. But for tonight, also hire Sly. Tonight,
Yeah, that was
we
excellent.
are talking about Little Women. So why don't we do a hard transition from the world of hockey and cars to horses and carriages and Georgian fashion that is kind of questionable at times, but still won an Oscar. Yay! How was that for a transition?
That was beautiful.
That was incredible.
Great.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh my God. Little Women is a story that like everybody on the planet, I think, has some kind of relationship with. I feel like you could say the same about a book like Anne of Green Gables. It's like a story that like is based in one place, but around the world has really developed its life of its own. This is one of those stories that's done the same. So I thought we could start by everyone kind of sharing what their relationship, if any, is with Little Women. Not necessarily this Little Women, but like the story of Little Women. This is one of the first books that I remember reading. I don't know how young I was when I read Little Women, but we always had it in our house. And like, I remember not liking Amy. I remember not liking Lori. I remember thinking Joe was such an interesting character. Like I kind of had like a very traditional reaction to reading Little Women. And then when this film was announced and the cast list came out, I have never been terrified of a movie. And I've talked about this on this show before. Like I was terrified to watch this movie because I was like, I'm done for. This is going to end any relationship I can have with enjoying a movie. This is going to be my favorite movie. So I refused to watch it. I didn't watch it for the longest time. And then I watched it in 2021 and I've watched it like a bazillion times since. And it was surely because I was scared. I was like, I know this is going to ruin me. So I will just put it off for as long as possible. And sure enough, it has. And it did change all my opinions about the story. So I think I was right to be terrified. In fact, I still am. And that's kind of where I'm coming to tonight's conversation from. Marissa, what about you?
I have never read the book. I have a like distinct, very clear and vivid memory of being in like second grade in my Catholic school library and picking up the book and being like, everybody is reading this. This is what the cool people read. It seems too long. Put it back. Never read it.
Beautiful.
I am most familiar with Little Women because of the musical, because I was a middle schooler obsessed with Sutton Foster. So yeah, most of my knowledge of Little Women is based on the musical. And then I watched this movie, like within 6 months of it coming out, not like the winter, but like the spring after, like very early lockdown, basically. And it was great. And I love it. And I watched it ever since.
Okay. So we have a book, we have a musical. Sly, what's your relationship with Little Women?
I read the book. I read the book as a kid. I feel like I could be completely fabricating this. So like take this with a grain of salt. I feel like I read it after the Little House series, we had like all like 9 or however many books there are. And then right before the oh gosh, I sent it to the group chat. I don't remember what the other series was. The Magic, the Wheel of Words of Failure.
You were
Anyways,
talking about
Wheel of Time.
Little House on the
Who
Prairie.
knows?
I don't remember the other part.
Anyways, yeah, so Little House and some other series. None of it really stuck with me. I don't really remember any of my thoughts or feelings.
It was. I have found the text.
Okay.
It was Little
Thanks.
House and Wrinkle in Time.
Wrinkle
in Time.
Wheel of Time. What the? I don't. Anyways. Yeah. So I've read it. I was going to reread it for the show this week. I picked it up. I read the first couple of pages, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this starts really slow." And then I closed it. And it's still laying on my bed, and I just never finished it. And I just never got around to watching the movie. I don't know why. It wasn't on my radar. And then everybody was in love with it, and I was like low-key embarrassed to admit I had never watched it. And then I turned it into content, and here we are.
The best way
This
to
was
get over
Sly's
things like
suggestion. Sly said,
Yeah,
I could have a reason to watch Little Women. Let's do that.
perfect.
exactly.
And literally no arguments from the crowd.
No.
Alexis, before we ask you your relationship with Little Women, is there anything that you would like to address? Are you dealing with this news in a way that needs to be handled before we talk about Little Women?
No, it's fine. Everything's fine. God damn it. It's all fine. We're good.
I would like, however, to address what's going on in the private chat.
What's going on in the private chat?
And if
I
I,
don't
did
understand
not
any
know
of
you, I would have said, which beard bestie? I just watched the last game with you, so I kind of have a clue.
I didn't know if you would know his name if I said it, but I
No,
knew you would know who I was talking about.
Okay, let's back up a few steps. For those of you that don't know, where are we streaming?
We're married.
Okay, yeah, we can go back that far. We have a married couple on the screen. Congratulations to you two. We have a private chat that the 4 of us have in the place that we stream from, and usually we use it to say things like, I'm turning off my camera to take my puffer, or can you hear my fan going in the background? And tonight it is strictly hockey commentary that's coded in married language. So
I don't understand anything that's going on.
none of it.
Mm-mm.
None of it. And that's what you missed on Glee.
Congratulations to everyone who gets to be in my presence tonight and whenever you're replaying this episode.
It's always a treat to be in your presence, Alexis.
As for Little Women,
Yes.
Yes. You go on.
young Alexis was a precocious child. And she was read at a very high level, and there were no like accelerated reader books that were appropriate for Alexis that were at the level that she was reading. So I read like Dumas, and then like a bunch of other books like from that kind of era. And then I moved on to like the classics, like, you know, Little Women. I don't remember it. I have it. It has 4th grade Alexis notes in it. I don't remember reading it. However, I did know I wouldn't like it. And that's not to say that it's not a good story. I think it is. I think it's a very relatable story. I don't like families being separated, especially because somebody, and I don't really like, when I like people that are really good at things, doing their best at things. That is not Little Women. Little Women is just people struggling and like figuring out life. And that is not my thing. And in fact, when I had to watch this movie last night, I pitched exchanging certain actors for hockey players, or resetting it in like a hockey AU, or having them all go on an art heist to get me through this film. So Little Women is just not my thing, but I am glad that it is a thing for like everybody else in the world.
It's just so interesting because part of the point of the film is like when they're saying who would read a book about like the trivial joys of a life like ours, right? It is about being mediocre and not being special, and how special it is to have such a mediocre life. Like that's like half of the commentary of Little Women, and you're just like, not the story for me, which is so valid.
Yeah.
You are not the target audience. I do not want to read a mediocre story about mediocre characters, but thank you so much for offering. I love it. I love it. Okay, before we dig into a lot of conversation, Marissa has found a game for us to play. I'm going to link it in the comments for everyone else to play along with. And Marissa, would you like to explain what we're going to do?
Okay. This stemmed from the fact that I do not know what March sister I am. I feel pulled in several different directions. And so I decided, instead of taking a quiz for myself, I was going to make everyone take it together. So we're all going to find out which March sister we are. Are we a Meg, a Jo, a Beth, or an Amy?
I love it. Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to take the branding off the screen so that we can see the full screen perfectly. And we are all taking this quiz together on BuzzFeed Quiz Party. We are very sad that the BuzzFeed newsroom no longer exists, but this seems like a new thing. And we're trying it live for the first time with all of you. So if anyone wants to play along, the link's in the comments for you to also take the quiz. Are we ready to figure out which Little Women sister best represents our souls?
No.
All right.
I think I'm going to be upset whatever the answer is.
That's
so.
me. I think I'm going to be
Me
upset
too.
with the answer. Yeah.
Does anybody want to make a prediction? And for everyone watching too, does anyone want to make a prediction for who's going to end up with what?
I think I'm going to end up with whoever Florence Pugh was.
Amy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
No.
And I'm going to be mad about it. But I think that's where we're going to go.
Alexis,
Okay, y'all,
I
just
think
quickly,
you're a
y'all,
Beth.
y'all can play along with the link we tossed
The
into
one
the.
that passed away.
Yes.
I
She's
don't-
extremely proficient at piano. She's the only one that's good at things.
Okay, here's the thing is we'll talk about my feelings about Beth later. But I don't know. Going mostly on the whole, like, you know, of it
Mhm.
all, I feel like I'm going to get Jo, and I will be disappointed with it.
I think both Liz and I are going to be Amy. There's like a 2% chance I might be Jo, but I think I lean more Amy.
I think I'm going to be Meg, and I don't want that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm so excited to find out.
Oh man. Okay. Let's get into it. Question 1. How do you spend your free time? Creating, practicing, socializing, or helping?
None of the above.
I was gonna say none of the above.
But I guess I have to
hate
say
say it,
creating.
but we are all creating.
Yeah.
But I don't think in the context of this creating. I think they mean like being creative. I'm creating as a profession. Like that's not out of the brain cells of wanting to be creative. I'm gonna put socializing because I think that's more.
No, that's accurate for you. It's
For
not. That's
me.
not accurate for
It's not
me.
accurate for me.
No,
Mm-mm. Yeah, but
I-
it does match Liz.
Mhm.
I think I have to say creating, because I like to sing a song.
I
That's
made it my
actually-
Oh, I bake. That's a hobby that I actually have, and that is creating something.
I like to sing a song. It's like the funniest sentence process ever said. Okay, you're going with creating. Sly, what did you go with?
I'm still waffling between creating and helping. I feel like I'm a bad person if I pick helping for myself, but if you all pick it for me, I feel like less of a bad person.
That is such a Beth answer.
No, I think helping is true.
Yeah.
Helping is very true. Sly is a
great.
helper.
Yeah.
Alexis, where are you?
Well, I made it my summer project to create something new every week. So because of that, and the like half finished quilt I'm staring at, and the half finished jacket I'm staring at, I felt that I had to put
Creating. You know what? I think that's a really valid line of thought, Alexis. I respect
Actually, I think socializing is what I like to do.
Bullshit.
that. Next question. How much do you like attention? The more the better. I don't mind it. I hate it. If it has to do with my accomplishments, I'll gladly accept it.
Oh, that's tough.
Well, I think we all know where
I hate this question.
I hate this question. I'm going with the more the better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
feel personally attacked.
I am either the more the better, or if it has to do with my accomplishments, then I'll gladly accept it. Because I only really want attention when it's people being nice to me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Mm.
I
Yeah.
need like
Definitely
a
done that.
combination of those two.
So I would split them between, I think someone that would answer this is, I don't want attention unless in the exclusive
Oh
situation.
no, I want attention.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm the more the better then.
All
We're
right.
getting deep
We're-
into Amy
Shall
territory.
we go to the next one?
Yes.
Next. Do you hold grudges?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, forever. I might do something to get back at you. Forgive and forget is my motto. No one has ever done something to me for which I need to hold a grudge. If you answer that, I have so many questions for you.
Yeah.
That goes to anybody in the world.
Mhm.
I think I'm a yes forever.
Yeah, me too.
Because even if I like don't
My good
care as
opinion,
much,
once lost is lost
I
forever.
will always care a little bit.
Yeah. I would like to believe I'm someone that can like move on from things. And I'm yet in my reputation era since 2018.
Yeah.
So I think I have to be yes forever.
I was like, bestie, affectionately, what have you moved on from?
well said. Well pointed out. All right. Ooh, how far would you travel? Within the state, I'd rather not travel. Internationally or nationally?
Internationally, stamp that passport, babe.
Mhm.
Alexis is like, I've done enough travel to last a lifetime.
Honestly, yeah. I'm like, been there. I don't like that. I would rather not travel.
Sly, where are you?
I have only traveled nationally, but I would love to
Mhm.
escape this hellhole at least once in my life.
I have to click internationally because I love traveling to the States, and that is technically an international destination for me.
Technically, it is.
So there we go. Choose one word to describe yourself: reliable, kind, hardworking, or honest. I am going with hardworking because I don't know how to take a break.
Mhm.
And that
You
is
do
my.
not. That is so true.
No, that is the right answer for you.
So I'm
And I'm
gonna
like-
stay over
None of these. Like, where is the like?
here. None of the above.
None of these apply
I
to
like
you.
this. You're very kind.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm biased,
click the
but you
button.
are very kind.
Okay, that's a group decision. Alexis is
Sure.
kind. Don't you all agree in the chat? I love even Claus calling us out. Liz, no, you ain't. Like, please. I love the commentary. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Sorry, Sly, what did you pick?
I don't know.
Okay. Are you looking for a group consensus?
Oh, I
A
thought
little
you
bit.
just like randomly clicked one. I thought you had answered it, but you
Oh.
didn't know what you put.
Okay, once again feel like I'm gassing myself up too much, but I feel like I would go with reliable.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're very reliable.
Absolutely. Absolutely. As the one person who always remembers the to-do list before the show. Yeah,
Fair enough.
very. Marissa, what did you go with?
Honest.
Honest.
I'm brutally honest. Like, it's not a positive quality. I just can't not tell you the truth.
We each picked a different one.
Look at us. We're
Not fun.
individual.
Okay. Which artistic ability would you most like to have? Writing, music, acting, or painting? I don't like how they put write, music, act, or paint. I feel like they need the ing at the end to make sense.
So this
Mhm.
has to be something that an ability I don't have that I want.
I don't know.
Was going to clarify because is it a thing all of these things are things you can learn. So I disagree with having.
Well,
Like-
I'll tell you how the quiz works. If you pick right, you're Joe. If you pick music, you're Beth. If you pick acting, you're Meg. If you pick painting, you're Amy.
You're so right.
So,
All right, I'm going with music. I have musical experience, but I would like it to be better. So
I
Yeah.
guess, like, in thinking that I could only have one of these, I would
Because
say.
Marissa's a quadruple threat and can do anything.
Well, I can't paint, but
Well, that was me. I was like, I don't paint, but like,
I don't really want to have that.
Okay, how
I
about
would be Rothko.
which one would you like to be the best at then? Of the
Right.
others? If you got to
Writing.
optimize one.
Writing. I would.
Writing.
Yeah.
Okay, you guys are writing. I'm going with music as well. Okay. What type of partner would you be most attracted to? Everyone describe each other,
Is there an E3 of the above option?
right? Okay, maybe what's the
are we
most
picking
important?
for our spouses?
Do we want to pick for our on air?
That is too much pressure. Do not make me do that.
Let's do that. Let's our on
The
air.
Panthers are losing.
What
You
is
do not put more
Liz?
pressure on me.
What is Marissa? You said honest for the other one. I don't see honest as an option here, so I have to go with your second best quality, Marissa. Let's see. What you could be all of these. What is your best
I know,
quality?
it's bad.
You know, I'm gonna go with funny and charismatic because you do always make me laugh. Like the memes, I don't gas you up for nothing. You are very, very funny.
Thanks.
So I'm gonna go with funny and charismatic. Who would like to go next?
I'm gonna go with intelligent and helpful.
Look at that. Love that.
Liz knows a thing or two.
Some things. Sly?
I am going with kind and dependable.
That's real.
Right.
That's real.
Not the chat gassing up. Not the chat gassing up.
No, I can't even see the chat. I have so many things on my screen right now. The problem is that you were lots of these things. But I'm going to go with caring and patient because you were the most patient person with me that I have ever known.
Oh,
And no one watching this needs to be
Okay.
offended by that.
not us being sentimental. Oh my god. Okay, next. What is your style? Oh, I don't have a style. Perfect. I finally found an answer for me. Classic and put together, not correct for me. Minimalistic and simple, absolutely not correct for me. Girly and feminine.
The fact that girl boss is not an
She
option,
says.
I'm personally offended on behalf of Liz.
Yeah.
The
I will
half of
say if
Liz
Liz
in
has
2010 Tumblr.
Yeah. I will say though, if Liz has an outfit and there's an option to make it pink, she will make it pink.
It's true. Does that count
Pink
as
is the
girly and
best
feminine?
outfit option.
I guess.
Yeah, my style really is just pink.
I don't think I have a style. Do I have a style? I'm not any of these.
I
I
am
feel
like,
like
I have a
you have too many. I wouldn't say you have
Right.
like,
It's not consistent enough.
so I'd say you don't have like a
I
distinct
have-
like individualistic
I have
style.
an idea.
You
I have an idea.
rock everything.
Let's pick this based on our favorite outfit.
Oh.
Do people have a favorite outfit or an outfit they've worn recently that they felt really good in? Because we can go based on that. I'm still gonna have to pick girly and feminine because I like it because it was pink. So that's
Mhm.
Yeah. See, I would go like generally minimalistic and simple. I like very
Love it.
simple, comfortable. But if I'm like feeling good, then it's like classic and put together. But I'm literally never classic and or put together.
Yeah.
go with your heart, Sly. Go with your heart. Alexis, what are you picking?
She's eating.
Okay, sorry, Marissa. What did you pick?
I think I'm gonna put classic and put together
Mhm.
just because I'm not super trendy.
Mhm.
I don't know.
But you always
I
look
find what
great.
works and I stick to it.
Mhm. That's classic and put together. For sure. Alexis, are you picking one?
I went with girly and feminine.
All right. That checks out for you too. You've got like a lot of fun girly pieces in your wardrobe. Yeah. I hate this question. How do you take criticism? Don't call me out like that. I take it well. I take it well on the outside, but not on the inside. I'll hear you out, but I won't apply it. Do not critique me. Do not critique me. That's funny. That's funny.
Okay, I said I take it well on the outside, but not on the inside because that's just true, and we can move on.
Sly, how do I take criticism?
Do not critique you.
That's real.
So true.
I'm somewhere between do not critique me and I take it well on the outside, but not on the inside because I
Liz,
feel like
I love you so much. I'm sorry. I'll hear you out, but I won't apply it.
okay, perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I was waiting for
Affectionate.
someone else. No, affectionately, you do not apply criticism. Perfect. Do we all pick?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh my God, Claude's never gonna let go of the fact that I eat French fries in my car. Truly, truly the worst part of my reputation. What would you rather have? Accomplishments, money, status, or praise?
All of the above.
You know what? There's a lot I could say right now, but this is both the after party, so I'm not. This is not a fun FaceTime with friends. This is a very public forum. So instead, I'm gonna say accomplishments, and I want nobody to question me on that.
Yeah, I think yeah, I think me too. For now. If we lived in anti-capitalist society, a utopia.
Sly, what did you pick?
I went with accomplishments. I would have picked status for you, Liz, because like I feel like you thrive on being like a like trusted source.
That's
Like-
very valid. Oh, why can't I change my answer?
That's a nice way to think about status.
Yeah. Oh, well, I can't change that. I wish I had asked you before I clicked accomplishments. Alexis?
Do we need to ask?
We
Everyone
don't
knows.
have to say it out loud.
Everyone knows how Alexis is answering that question. Moving on.
Done with quiz. Okay.
Done with quiz. Oh no. I'm scared what's going to be the next page.
Right.
The next page is waiting.
Oh,
for
okay. We have to
other
wait for
players.
everyone to finish.
Oh,
Celebration.
jump scare.
Wow. Amy,
Well,
Wow.
I got
okay.
Meg. Marissa and Alexis got
Interesting.
Joe. And I got Florence. Do you know what that means?
this is not right.
Wait, you know what this means? You know what this means? I'm married Timothée Chalamet.
Well, there we go.
Was
Wow.
Chalamet in this movie?
Alexis had a lot of trouble.
Alexis, count your days.
Have you not read my notes? You
I
might want to
am.
glance at those.
I have numerous times.
Liz, yours is so right. Mine is so wrong.
Loyal and could end up with your first love.
Right?
Wow. Hit the nail on the head
Right?
there.
No.
Confident and proud, willing to defend yourself against anyone. Okay, call me a BuzzFeed quiz. Up for a good time, willing to take one for the team and do it in the best interest of everyone. Sly got Meg.
I'm definitely not a Meg. I would have taken Beth.
You don't like confrontation or trouble. You want everyone to get along. You love love and hope to find a partner as humble and warm as you. There's a part of you that could want more. You're great at being content with what you have. That doesn't resonate?
No.
Nope. This is also a great example of Emma Watson having 20/20 teeth in 1886.
Yeah.
That really
Uh-huh.
is distressing
Yeah.
about this. Okay, but we'll come back to that. And then both Alexis and Marissa got Joe. The go-getter, ambitious and tough, goals and dreams to accomplish that no one can get in the way of, except maybe your loved ones, as they always come first. You have your head in the clouds, but you have your feet on the ground. Your morals and beliefs will never be compromised.
Sounds fake.
That's like half true.
I aspire so much to be Marissa. Marissa is the person I think that I'm the least like. So the fact that Marissa and I ended up with the same person is like blowing my mind.
Wow. Well, if we were all Little Women, we would make it to the end of the movie. So that's one thing.
That's true. We all survived the movie.
No one is Beth. Okay, so we feel like Alexis doesn't feel like hers is accurate.
Isn't Joe the one that's like, no, I don't need no man?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Then no, I do.
All right. Fly says no for Meg. Marissa, how do you feel?
Listen, I've always known I'm somewhere in between Joe and Amy because they are also basically the same person. And so I guess this has just reinforced that I am farther on the line of Joe than I am Amy, even though I want to be Amy, which I think makes me a Joe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I got Amy. And based on could end up with your first love, I'm going to say it's accurate. So
I think yours is right. I think how it describes Amy is you. I don't know that that's how I would describe Amy, though.
I think that's fair, actually. Okay, that was fun. And we're going to talk more about like these characters and what we think of them individually a little bit later in the show. Let's get back into the conversation about Little Women. I'm glad that we set this up with a little bit of self-reflection. This was great. Let's start with the toast. What are we toasting with this evening?
You ready?
Oh. Beautiful. Beautifully done. Sly, what are you toasting with over there?
A grapefruit spindrift.
Lovely.
Sponsor us.
Love that. Marissa, what are you toasting with?
All I have left is water. So
hydrated.
By default, water.
I've got a Starbucks cup with water and a Coca-Cola can with a metal straw that keeps scratching. I'm sounding awful. So
great.
We'll see. Alexis, what are you toasting with?
I have water and Capri Sun and espresso. So we're gonna toast with lukewarm espresso.
Beautiful. Beautifully done. Okay. I'm so excited to see what Alexis wants to toast to, but I would like to start. I want to toast to one of the most iconic pieces of cinema of our generation, which is the Pugh pout. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it is the iconic Florence Pugh pout that no one can do but Florence. When you know a great scene is coming, there, Marissa can do it.
I can't even like frown.
Yeah, I literally can't. I can't do it. I don't know how she does it. It's iconic. So I would like to toast to the Florence Pugh pout. Cheers.
Cheers.
Marissa?
I am toasting to Greta Gerwig cheating Massachusetts for Paris and doing it really well. And just the fact that they made this entire movie in one state is very impressive to me.
She deserved an Oscar for that alone. We're going to get into the Oscars of it all a little bit later. Sly, what are you toasting to?
Okay. So I wrote in my notes as I was watching, listen, I know I'm probably more of a Joe, but there's something about the Mary Bennett and the Beth March kind of characters that I absolutely adore. So I am toasting to the Beth Marches and the Mary Bennetts of the world. I love you so dearly.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Okay, the one I'm the most excited about, Alexis, tell us what we're toasting to, and please give an in-depth explanation as to why, because I don't understand this.
We are toasting to cat houses because it was said once in the film. Now, when it was said, I wasn't sure if they meant of the Chipotle variety or of the Moulin Rouge variety, but I didn't see it to discover. So we're just toasting to D, all of the above.
Hell yeah.
Cheers.
I get it now. I
would also like to say my coaster for this can on my desk is in fact Seattle Kraken Pride hockey puck. Thank you very much.
Wow. There it is. There it is. Sylvan's toasting to the Laura Dern of it all. I mean, we'll get into Laura Dern in a little bit.
U.S. Poet
Cheers
Laureate.
to
Laura Dern.
Donna Montrez hopefully winning All Stars 8. We love Drag Race.
I'm not following All Stars 8 right now.
No spoilers.
I have no
spoilers.
idea what's going on.
Alexis, I thought there was a cat house in the film that I had missed. So I was like, you gotta.
Yeah,
I
I
watched
was like,
this movie so many times.
is it the mailbox in the forest? Is that a cat house? What's going on?
Well,
Like, I
it's
figured
mentioned is like jobs that women who like are not married do or
Yes.
whatever.
I'm sure it's a Aunt March something.
Yeah.
No, but if you ever imply cats in this, I'm only ever going to think you mean there was a literal cat in the piece of media that we watched. And we're going to very clearly call out that it was there. So that's why that went over my head. Okay, let's dig into some roses and thorns. Marissa, do you want to get the ball rolling for this one?
I guess so. My rose is the whole goddamn movie. I freaked the freak out watching it. I hadn't watched it in a while, and my notes are mostly the words "this goddamn movie" or "this fucking movie." I tried to like Control F, find how many times I say "this goddamn movie." Couldn't figure it out. I have a keyboard, it doesn't have the shortcut. Whatever. I said it a lot. And I just really love this movie. Should I do my thorn as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. My thorn is because I love this movie, it was really hard to find something that I didn't like. And it's Friedrich being French, not German, because it makes him too lovable. It makes me root for him too much. He's too charming. And it makes me sad for him to end up with Joe instead of being like, oh, it's a meeting of the minds. They're intellectuals. They'll be happy bouncing off each other. And now it's just like, this poor, sweet French man loves this girl who will never love him back. Oh, no. So
of all the gripes from Marissa that I have with this film, I didn't think it was going to be that one, but I am glad that it is.
I don't have other gripes. I don't know what you could be thinking of.
Well, we'll talk about the costuming and the hair in a little bit. I feel like there might be some things in there. Sly, what's your rose and what's your thorn?
My rose is this movie is a silly, goofy time. I'm glad I watched it. I, had a good time with this experience. So that was great. But my thorn is I can't remember anything about the book to save my life. Basically, the story just doesn't really stick with me, but that doesn't mean I can't enjoy it. Like, we can enjoy things and recognize that they're not necessarily for us. So.
Yep, 100%. And I think that's like sometimes we talk about media and how like much meaning it has to us. And I also love sometimes when you talk about something like this does not have a ton of meaning to me personally, but it was something that was a silly, goofy time. So I'm happy for you that you got to watch this one and have a moment with it. That's great.
For sure.
That's all we can ask for. My rose and thorn, and then we'll go to Alexis. I have, it's not just because it was Timothée Chalamet. Okay, Timothée Chalamet's in this film. We all know that was a positive for me, but I did not like Laurie in the book. I've always struggled with Laurie. Part of the reason why I was terrified to watch this film was because there was so much discussion on the internet. There was endless discussion on the internet about why they should not have cast Timothée Chalamet to play Laurie before the film came out. Like, the news dropped and the internet was like, why on earth would you cast this man? It does not make sense. People did not see the vision. They did not get it. And you watch the film and this Laurie makes sense. It like brings a different kind of flavor to the film. And to me, it's like, I love that. I like this Laurie. No, but I like this interpretation of Laurie as a character. And my thorn is Meg. And I said this before we started the show, in a film that is so Oscar worthy, has 2 Oscar nominated performances, has the likes of Meryl Streep and Laura Dern, like it's an all-star cast. And that includes Emma Watson. And on paper, she's like the most qualified to do a good job here. And it just all falls apart for me with Meg. I think that like the Meg storyline leaves a little bit to be desired as well. But Emma certainly didn't help. And the horrible accent really takes me out of the story constantly.
She tried so hard.
It takes me out of it constantly. It's so I just Meg. Emma.
Poor Meg.
Yeah. So that's my thorn. Alexis, what about you?
Well, my rose was slowly discovering that was in fact Timberland Chartreuse. My first note about Timothée Chalamet is assuming that it wasn't Timothée Chalamet. Like I saw this man and I was like, is that famous kid that apparently slept with a bunch of people in NYU that lives, loves in this movie? Like, because I thought that actor was him and clearly it's not. I then had to come all the way back around to discovering that, no, that was in fact Timothée Chalamet, which I discovered because it popped up on the Amazon screen. I did not come to that conclusion on my own. My notes are a battle of trying to figure out if that was Timmy or it was not. And my thorn is emotional damage. Because my co-hosts keep making me watch things that are traumatic.
Yeah, this is not a film for Alexis, but Alexis got through it, and we give you a round of tacos for that. Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate that praise. That's very meaningful to me.
Good. You deserve it. You deserve it. Okay. There is a lot that happens in this film. I forgot to fill out this segment of my notes, but we're gonna chug through it anyway. There's a lot that happens in this film that is worthy of tacos. So let's talk about some of the standout quotes for the good or the bad. Alexis, I'm going to get you to kick this one off because I think your first standout quote is hilarious.
Boys scare me.
Perfect. That really summarizes the whole film as well quite nicely, don't you think?
Yes.
Marissa?
Oh, I think no. I was gonna say I think all of these are Amy lines, but they're not. But top of the list is Heart Eyes, little baby Florence Pugh. I'm Amy.
Yeah.
First line she says to Lori.
Sly.
Well, I just wrote. What did I write in the doc? Every time Meryl Streep opened her mouth. That's all I put down. I'm like trying to read through my notes very rapidly to find the exact quotes that I pulled. It's possible to be right and foolish. I'm pretty sure is one of hers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She also says, I may not be right, but I'm never wrong. Which
that
is
was my next one. Thank you. I may not always be right, but I'm never wrong. Those were my two. I did write that down in my notes and then immediately wrote all caps, slay.
Slay, right? Okay, one. I can't just give one. I'm going to tell you exactly what I wrote down. The scene of Amy seeing Lori from the carriage with Aunt March. This is how my notes read. Okay. All caps. Stop the carriage. Lori, 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 Lori. And then I put, well, maybe I didn't recognize you because you're so beautiful now. Please. And then he says, I'll wear my best silk. And I put the pouting, crying emoji and then like 6 alarms. And then I followed that with Amy says, it's Lori. And Aunt Marsh says, I know.
Nailed the inflection.
Just, I can't. It's just beautiful. It's so good. It's so good. Whose turn? Marissa, back to you.
Yes. Speaking of Amy and Lori, married Amy and Lori. Lori, can you stop standing there and go get the horses ready? Thank you.
Slay. Slay.
As she's running up the stairs, screaming back at him.
Yeah.
Queen.
Mm-hmm.
And if we want to tack another Timmy line onto that,
always.
And I'll watch. Knife to the heart. Like, yeah. I was not prepared for it. I was like, I I feel like people say that this fight on the hill is very dramatic and the failed proposal and blah blah blah, but like I wasn't really feeling it, and then out of nowhere he whips out "and I'll watch," and I was like, oh, now I remember.
Yeah, it's a doozy. I had to pause it. I had to take a big breath. You know, it was
Yeah.
Who's next? Is Alexis next? Sorry,
I think
Alexis
it's
is on
Sly.
cat
I think
duty.
they usurped
Hello.
Sly.
Who's next? I lost track.
I don't have any. Those were my two.
Okay.
Oh, okay,
sorry.
great.
My cat needed his puffer like his Auntie Liz. So we had to take a moment there. Okay. I think the ones that I have are pretty common, like throughout people's favorite quotes. But I'd be respected if I couldn't be loved. That was like a knife to me personally. And just because my dreams are different from yours doesn't make them unimportant.
Yeah, she popped off with that one.
Okay, I have another like whole scene that I wrote down in my notes, so I'm going to tell you how I wrote them down. This is at the end of the movie when Frederick comes to the house, and Laurie goes, "Who's this?" And I wrote,
"I'm Laurie. Who are you?"
Just wait. So the line, "Who's this?" I wrote, "Laurie, little pitbull protector. I'm the owner of this house." And then I followed that with, he says, "Can someone tell me who this is?" No, sorry, who this man is. And then he says, "I'm Laurie. Who are you?" I'm like, married Laurie is such a different beast from unmarried Laurie. A treat.
True.
A treat.
True.
Has everyone seen the meme that's like, "Who are you?" And it's like, "I'm the owner
of this house.
Made for this man." Absolutely. Any other quotes we want to pull? Marissa?
I mean, all the, the famous ones, women, they have minds and souls as well as just hearts. And that's all the woman is fit for, blah, blah, blah. I can't believe childhood is over. You will be bored of him in 2 years and we will be interesting forever. Like, all the iconic ones.
I can't believe none of us said short and spicy.
Oh, yeah. Keep it short and spicy. Iconic way to start the movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the book is neither short or spicy.
Yeah.
But the one line I want to finish on, for me at least, is "I'm Amy. I would never have sprained my ankle. I have lovely small feet, the best in the family." And then he marries her.
It's true. It's true. Absolutely. I have more, but let's just move on. There's so many quotes we could go all day here. Alexis, any others that you want to call it, or are you good?
I'm gonna need a minute here personally. So
okay,
we're good.
You take it. Let's move right along. Like the whole movie is quotable. It's iconic.
For sure.
Yeah. Okay, I'm getting lost in the notes, but that's okay. We're gonna jump into. We have there's so much you can dig into with this film. We have a half hour left to talk through some of it. So let's have some serious conversation and let's end on a lighter note talking about the characters and going through some of our favorite, funniest notes that we took while watching. So let's start with easy, quick topic to jump into: the intersection of gender identity, the patriarchy, and not like the other girls tropes. Yay! Sly, I would love to hand it over to you, my friend.
All right. This is not a fully formed thought, so I would love to get your opinion on this. But as I was watching this, I was thinking of how and I'm using "we" to ascribe that to like modern queer media analysis, look at historical texts and historical works, have a tendency to ascribe modern understandings of concepts to historical works. And it feels like service. And I think of this specifically because a lot of people tend to say that you can read Jo as trans, which, looking at the text, her quote about how she's so heartbroken that she wasn't born a boy, I think that when you look at like her dialogue throughout this story, that is a valid choice for an interpretation. If you took that and you ran with it and you made an adaptation where you're like, you know, Joe somewhere fluid on the gender spectrum, I would buy it. I would support it. I don't think that's necessarily the strongest read in the book, and I don't think it's a good read for this movie. I think they really leaned into the perspective of Joe playing into, you know, fighting against the patriarchy and her acknowledging like her relationship with gender is more about the oppression than the actual spectrum of feelings. And I think they really hit that on the nail with the like her crying over her hair scene. I think was really trying to push it into, this is a woman who is fighting like the patriarchy or whatever as her story. And how that plays into the not like other girls, like I'm not going to be like Amy and use my femininity to get what I want. I'm going to purposefully other myself to try to make a statement to get what I want. So yeah, thoughts?
Well, open.
I think you nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
One thing I would just throw in as like a piece of context that I consider when I'm thinking about this, but I also don't have a fully formed thought on it, so I'll just toss it in and then we can explore, is Louisa May Alcott's theming of gender across all of her writings, fiction, nonfiction, diary, letters, and all of the academic theory around Louisa May Alcott's gender and sexuality. And it's interesting thinking about it in the context of Little Women, and then putting that in the context of other works, fiction, nonfiction, that she made, and the presence of that theme being more or less. It's like, is this something that was intentionally dripped into the characterization of Joe so much as it is a theme that is present across her work and across her life? And that's not answers that we'll ever like have necessarily, but I think the way that you talk about this adaptation of Little Women and how they skewed it more to like the feminist side of, I'm not going to be like the other girls, I'm going to fall into that trope, I'm going to use that as a mechanism for talking about why I'm different, as opposed to something that Joe owns as a personality trait necessarily. It's just like, it's interesting to me, right? And I feel like there is room for a version in the future where that's not how they use this, and they do use it as a story of Joe battling with sexuality and identity in this like time and age. And that would also be an interesting exploration of it.
And that's the beautiful thing about adaptations, is each one takes a work and applies a different lens to it. And looking at Joe, you have to look at her as a character that was written and also as Louisa May Alcott self-insert. And how do you balance, like, where are those lines? What's fiction? What was intentional and true to her experience that she was putting in? And that layers.
Yeah. I think you nailed it. I think it's difficult and often dangerous to ascribe modern understandings of the world in many ways without understanding or considering historical context. And I think you can miss a lot of the nuance without understanding historical context. So that is something that is interesting and really necessary for me when looking at like straight historical adaptation, because like you can have your Bridgertons, you're the greats, you're like, clearly this is a period piece that is not meant to be set in period, but like you have to have some of that background if you're trying to root something in a realistic historical moment. And then separately, and also when you were both just talking, I was thinking about something that I heard Greta Gerwig say about her screenplay. I don't know. It just was in my head. And she was like, it's so interesting to me that Laurie is a boy with a girl's name and Joe is a girl with a boy's name, and how they're parallels of each other in a lot of instances. and how that influenced their costuming, and they wear each other's clothes, and he's a member of the girls group, but they all dress up as men. Like, all of that is in my brain right now.
Yeah.
There's nothing to say about it yet, though.
I also, okay, now to bring it back to Meg for a minute, but I think one of the reasons why Joe is so interesting, and Sly, you touched on this, is like the idea of Joe saying that in a household of women and sisters and all of their interpretations of being feminine or not being feminine, right? Mm-hmm. And not to say that this isn't true of the Meg in this movie, but Meg is supposed to be like the darling. Like, she's supposed to be like the prettiest. She could be an actress, whatever. And it's almost like all of them are so pretty in this movie that you miss that piece of Meg. And it's not to say that Emma Watson's not like particularly pretty or something, but I think you're supposed to have contrast points. And in the scene early on in the film, when Meg and Joe go to the party and they meet Laurie, you're supposed to see that, like, the gap between them of Meg's dancing and she's social and she's the prettiest, and Joe's got like the burn on her dress, and Meg told her not to dance, like, so no one would see the burn on her dress. But Joe is so pretty. Saoirse Ronan's so pretty that it's like, I almost missed that a little bit. Like, she wasn't like, they presented her in such a beautiful feminine way as well that you miss the range of Joe is supposed to be super boyish and Meg is supposed to be super, super feminine. And I wonder if we had had more of that contrast, if it would have played differently into this Joe. But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That dichotomy is really important when we look at the roles each of these sisters play in serving the story. This obviously is much shorter period of time to convey a story, and so we lose a little bit of those like definitive placements into different parts of this story. And also the thing we were talking about with Bridgerton, of they're all very pretty and they're all very modern standards of beauty, and how that contributes to the story we're telling.
Alexis, do you want to jump in on this at all?
Peripherally. So something that I think was interesting, I think it was in the notes, was this concept of like applying modern tropes, like she's not like other girls, like to these more period pieces. And I think in terms of gender, that something that was lost here was like archetypes of women. Like, I think when you look at more traditional retellings of Little Women, or even the book, like, they are very distinct. Like, Meg is super, like, this one is super girly and feminine, and this one is super tomboyish. And I think in this adaptation, where we are primed as a society to correctly believe that, like, femininity is a spectrum and like everybody can have different aspects to their personality, that was a little muddled in this film. And I think part of that is because we're working in a world that has that view, with actresses that most likely have that view from a producer who is very feminist, right? And so I think in all of that, we kind of lost the archetypes that would have allowed us to be tied or relate to certain characters, because it became just this muddled, like, well, we all have a spectrum of what it is like to be a woman, rather than like, I am the girly one, I am the boyish one, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. That's so interesting. Oh my God. Okay, we have so much we want to talk about. Sly, is there anything else you want to talk about on this point?
I feel like we've hit it.
Beautiful. Oh, imagine that. Let's keep going. Okay. The power of adaptations and reframing a story. I want to jump into the question that I think, did Alexis leave this question? The second?
Yes.
Okay. Are there other works we think would benefit from a reframing? Like, what would Pride and Prejudice look like if we decenter Elizabeth? This is such a juicy question. Alexis, do you have anything you want to jump in on with?
I really don't. I thought it would just be an interesting question for the group. I was really inspired by, I think, Sly, maybe you put the question in the doc, but by the idea of, like, when I think of adaptations, I think most of the adaptations I've seen in my lifetime are not intentionally trying to apply a different lens to the story. I think that's the goal of adaptations. I don't think like the movie to miniseries to movie of like Jane Austen projects that I grew up with really hit that nail on the head, right? So we just kind of got like retellings of a story. We didn't really get a new view of the story. Mm-hmm. And I was really like struck by this idea of like, no, this is what Little Women was trying to do. It was trying to like reframe and tell a different story. And like, what does it look like if we apply that to different projects? I don't know that I have the answer to it. I just think it's kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What inspired this is I was looking at how they were framing all of the sisters compared to like briefly what I remember from like the themes of the book, and how the book is so centered on Jo and her perception of her sisters that all of her sisters are portrayed as a little bit less than in the book. Especially like we can talk about Meg, like how she is so written off as like, oh, she's just Meg, she whatever. And like this adaptation really pulled the spotlight back from Jo and allowed all of these sisters to be viewed from their own perspective, and like made Amy a little bit less just the younger whiny bratty sister, like made Meg a little bit less the poor married whatever. And so yeah, I'm really fascinated by this question. What would other stories look like if we changed our focus or decenter them? But I also don't think I have an answer.
You know, I will say so I recently watched Bridgerton season 2. Like I think on our Bridgerton episode, like I had watched like 2 episodes of it or whatever, and I finished this week. And not that is a classic story by any means, but I did leave it. Like one of my main complaints with that second season was that like I wanted to see what the story was like for Edwina, because our focus on Kate kind of encourages us to forgive like what their love story has actually done to other people, right? And at times I think the show handled that well, and at times I think it didn't, right? But that's a story that I'm like, oh well, that would have been interesting to see like from her point of view, because I end that season still not really sure if she loved him, right? Or if she just convinced herself to love him because like that was the best marriage for her. We don't really know enough about her for me to make that choice, right? And at the end of that story, her growth is that she just decided to do things on her own, but we really don't know like where that is going. And so I think that's a story that really changes if you center her story over Kate's story. But sorry, Marissa, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, what was I going to say?
I was going to say, well said, and then saw I was muted. So now I'm saying, well said, Alexis. Marissa, go ahead.
Oh, it was about basically echoing Sly when they said they didn't have an answer, because I don't think I have an answer either. I think like conceptualizing, sort of breaking apart a narrative to decenter the like traditional main character has to be very thoughtful and has to be working towards like a greater goal. And I think like in this adaptation, the greater goal was humanize all of the sisters. And I think to a certain extent it succeeded in that. But I think like the idea of like, what if we did Pride and Prejudice, but it was from Darcy's perspective the whole time? Like, what would be the point of that? You know, like yeah, I would love a Pride and Prejudice, like all 5 sisters all the time. But like, I think like I don't know. It's like, I don't know what it would look like, because it would have to have like like a decentered narrative of any property. Like it would have to have such a strong justification that like expanded on the right aspects.
And that's the thing, like, it's specifically if we're talking Pride and Prejudice, I would love an ensemble story of the sisters. Do I think that would be successful? No, I think it would be to its detriment. I think the power of that story is like how it is framed throughout those characterizations. But I would eat up a Bennett Sisters ensemble miniseries any
We
day
could
of the
finally
week.
figure out what Kitty has been doing the whole time.
Exactly.
Justice for Kitty.
But yeah, no, I think that's you're right, Marissa, that you have to have a really strong reason to make that choice. And I think there are people who could tell those stories, but I don't think I'm one of them.
Right. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is. That's not my job.
My mind definitely is going to like sub question, which is like side characters being more interesting than the main character.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking more about like modern stories, like how we're getting the Ballad of Songbird and Snakes this year. And it's the backstory of President Snow, who's like the least interesting character in the Hunger Games, and how everybody on the planet and their mom wanted the Finnick Odair story. Like, we wanted it so badly. Like, it would be the biggest blockbuster of the year. Like, it would be up there with Barbie if we were getting the Finnick Odair backstory for the Hunger Games. But because it's the Ballad of Songbird and Snakes, it's like, it's exciting. But like, who cares about President Snow? Not me. Like, I don't care about that man. So I also feel like for me, it's like when I think about modern retellings or just retellings of stories in general, like there are so many side characters that we get introduced to that fan fiction ends up taking the reins on because like mass media Hollywood doesn't give us a chance to explore them. And usually they're characters that have themes of different sexuality, different gender, different identity, whatever. And the community takes them and like builds them into full characters themselves. So
well, that's also the thing about like expanded universes and like spin-offs and sequels. And like I'm thinking about Kenobi in particular. And like what place that character is in when it starts, and what place that character will eventually get to. So what is the point of telling a 6-episode story about this like in between time? And how are you going to justify it and raise the stakes enough that your audience is invested? And somehow they pulled it off and it was actually really good. But like, why was that? Like, why? What were you going to do with that? Like, I don't know, the things that are adapted and expanded needs to have some justification.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that like this movie would not have worked if they hadn't decided to expand out on all of the sisters. Like if they had just decided to center Jo and make everybody else side characters, it would have been to its detriment.
I think it's successful in large part because of Amy. Like it made Amy a real person. And most of what I saw on the internet after people saw it was like, I've hated Amy my whole life and now she's my favorite. Like, I think also the use of nonlinear storytelling and splicing moments in lives to build an emotional arc where there not necessarily had been one previously. Masterful.
Okay, let's throw it right to Sly, because Sly also put this directly in the notes. Tell us about your thoughts. We've heard it a million times about this kind of storytelling.
We all know I love a nonlinear story. I eat that shit up. Anything. If you want to sell a story to me personally, ever, there are two things that immediately raise the bar for that story, regardless of what it is. If it's nonlinear or if it's a tight 90. If you have one or both of those things, I will be a fan. And so I didn't know this movie was told non-linearly until I started. And I was like, where in the timeline are we? And then we get that 7 years earlier, and I lost my ever-loving shit.
Yeah, so fun. So good. Okay, let's jump around because we're in the last few minutes of the show here and we have more to talk about. Marissa, take us through the costuming for this film, some of your thoughts around it.
Yeah, I don't have a ton to say. There are much more intelligent people on the internet that have made several video essays on the topic. But my perspective is that the costuming is not historically accurate, and that's okay. Because it is driving the story. The ensemble costuming is actually very good. If you look at the ball scenes, the debutantes, the people in town, they're all good. It's the marches that are not, and also Laurie most of the time. And that is why it is successful, because you can literally see these girls be like fish out of water, basically, most of the time. Amy is the most accurate because she has the most money because she's with Aunt March. And Jo is the least accurate because she is literally not following society in any way. And so it's a big debate in like the historical dress community of like, why did this costuming win an Oscar? Because it's good, because it is in service to the filmmaking. And
I think that's something we talked, again, not to bring our Bridgerton episode
no, please
back
do,
up,
because I love it so much.
The intentionality changes how we perceive these changes. Like, this film obviously was very intentional in who was ascribing to accurate historical societal costuming and who was not. And that intentional othering and that visual othering was in service to the story.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, if I could just add on to that,
please.
I think that part of the point of Little Women in the 2019 context is it's a story that you've been able to relate to since the book came out in some capacity. So why do the March sisters need to be historically accurate if the story is timeless? Like, it almost, to me, I think it was one of the reasons why it was better for the family specifically to just dress in a way that serviced the story was because it would have taken me out of it, like Meg's voice, if it had been like not like trying too hard and not there. Like, I would have noticed it more if they were all trying to be historically accurate all the time and it like slipped or like didn't work or something, versus they just created a strategy to support the metaphors and the meanings and the connections and things.
Yeah. And I also have to say, like, in at least this watch of it, I didn't pay attention to what was accurate and what was not. I was paying attention to the story, and like the things that I noticed about their costuming was the ways in which it serves the story. Like, Laurie's wearing green when Meg is wearing pink, even though green is Meg's color because he's reminding her of home while she's in Boston. And like all of these kinds of things of like how color interacts and textures and like the ways in which the costuming is serving the story rather than the ways in which it's like taking away from the accuracy. Like, I didn't even notice Amy's Ugg boots. She is wearing Ugg boots in one scene, but like I didn't even think about it until it was the end of the movie, and I was like, I didn't even see the Ugg boots. I was having so much fun watching the movie and looking at the beautiful costumes that serve the story. So like, thumbs up for me. I'll engrave the Oscar myself.
Hold on, I'm finding a photo of these boots. Alexis, what do you think about this?
I mean, I agree with what everybody else has said. Something that you said, Liz, was, well, if it was trying to be historically accurate, then I would notice the moments that they failed, right? And I think that is true. I think about movies like Captain America, The First Avenger, right? Where like, there are times I can't pay attention to that movie because like, where are the seams on your hose, right? Like, what is happening? But in watching this, like, I am not somebody who has a particularly strong understanding of like what fashion looks like in what era until we get to like 1950. That's a lie. Till we get to 1942. So this is all predating my fashion history knowledge. And it just didn't matter to me, right? Like, I was like, it didn't stand out to me as a particularly good thing, but it didn't stand out to me as a particularly bad thing, right? I could watch the story. I won't say I enjoyed it, but I could watch it, right? And I kind of put myself in my viewing of it as kind of an average audience member, right? So for me, it's like, oh, well, it succeeded because as an average audience member, I was not bothered by it. And really, isn't your goal here to like tell the story? Now, if they would have been in jeans, I may have had opinions about it, right? If it would have been like to the T historically accurate, then I probably would have had questions. So I think they hit like a nice, middle there.
I will say that.
Here are the
Oh, Beth is wearing Ugg boots too.
Yeah.
Love that for them.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
I will say though, I did not pick up on, I wasn't paying attention to any of the like color theory and the color story they were telling with the costuming, and then I was reading through Marissa's notes and I was like, oh wow, I totally missed out on all of this. So next time I watch, I will be reading Marissa's notes.
I didn't notice it the first time I watched it. It had to be pointed out to me, but in all of my rewatches, I notice it more and more.
All in favor of Marissa making a TikTok video to describe the color theory and the costuming?
I'm sure it's already been done, guys. I'm not reinventing the wheel.
You can also do it well. Just because it has been done doesn't mean you can't also do it well.
Do you know how many times I watch 6 documentaries about the same thing? Like, it doesn't matter if somebody has said it before. Like, just say it in your way. Sly is nodding because Sly has to suffer through me doing this.
I'm also a believer of Marissa knows best.
I am too.
I just don't care other people's opinions. I care about what Marissa thinks about it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Somebody would be like, I have a PhD and I restored this costume at the Smithsonian. And I would be like, yeah, but what does Marissa say about it?
I think it's so funny that Marissa is just now realizing that we are all huge Missa stans.
It's true.
You guys are very uncomfortable right now.
I weigh hyperfixation over a PhD any day of the week.
What did you answer to the praise question an hour ago? I'd like to revisit your answer.
Oh, I said
praised right now.
I said accomplishments, not praise.
Oh, okay. See, there it is. Okay, we're in the last few minutes of the show. I just want to briefly say that this movie won one Oscar. It was a very competitive year, but to this day, Greta Gerwig getting shut out of Best Director is wild. It was the year that Parasite won, which is great, but just the Oscars did this movie so dirty, and they won for costuming when they had Uggs in it. So just to say, that's why you can't just put everything on the Oscars. Like, you got to have some other reference points. We wanted to talk about the archetypes of the characters a little bit. And so I came up with a really interesting categorization of the main March family. So I think, Sly, if you want to introduce us to your archetypes of these characters, we can go through them and then just kind of rate what we think of each of these characters on a personal level.
Mm-hmm. So when I was looking at this film's portrayal, I was looking at how they were characterizing the women and the different ways they were doing so. And so I kind of picked up on 3 different archetypes that we saw between the main women. And I labeled them as the idealist, the moralist, and the realist. And I felt like there was 2 characters that fit into each of these categories, but represented a different take on each trope. So for the idealist, I picked Meg and Jo. I feel like Jo is the obvious choice. She's very idealistic in her goals and wants in life. And Meg, you also see that in her, being like, I'm going to marry for love and not think about how I'm supporting myself or my family. And that's a very idealistic take on being a woman at this time. For the moralist, I have Marmee, the mom, and I have Beth. They both are very strong in doing what they believe to be is right, even to the detriment of their own family. Especially for Marmee, she is doing all these things to help others to the detriment of her own family stability. And that's very much moral take on that. And then for the realists, we have Aunt March, which I think is the obvious choice for that very much. This is the way the world works, and this is how I play into that. And Amy, who really uses what she has to her advantage to get what she wants in a very interesting way to compare to Joe, where Joe is using, like I mentioned earlier, Joe is working outside of the system and Amy is working inside the system, realizing that she can get further by cooperating with the system than if she was to be outside of it. And I thought that was a very like realistic take on her situation.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see how all these characters also move between the archetypes at different points in the film, but then still really fall strongly into one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's think about those categorizations and talk about each of these characters individually, and let's give them a rating on our Alpine scale. How's that sound, friends? So if you're new here or not familiar, we have an Alpine scale. Alpine's in the corner of your screen on the right-hand side. And we rate everyone on a scale of 1 to 5, with 5 being the best. And if you really are wanting to spice it up, you add accessories or a taco. You'll see how it goes as we go through the list. But let's start with Meg, the idealist. In this adaptation, for me, Meg is like a 2 with accessories.
Yeah, I was going to say 2.
I'm giving her a 3 for this adaptation, just because of the amount of change they did.
Alexis?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I would give her a 3 Alpines with accessories. Though I will say I liked her more until we talked about it. Like, I came into this show happy that I had not recast her with Connor McDavid, and I'm leaving this show wondering if maybe that was an equal choice. Like, would have been an equal trade.
It's hard because I think she might be the best Meg we have, but like she's still Meg.
Yeah,
She's
exactly.
super talented, but she's kind of dull.
Yeah.
Well, let's just move right along to our next character, Joe, who is also an idealist. Joe, for me, is a 5 out of 5. I love Joe. Who doesn't love Joe? I don't know, maybe one of you. I love Joe. It's a 5 for me. Marissa?
4 with accessories.
Okay. Sly?
4, yeah. I want to clarify for the record, our base Alpine is an accessory. A half a point is without accessories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's correct. I think JJ's the one that keeps track of the math on all of this. So I'm sure JJ will let us know if we're wrong. Alexis?
3 with a Home Depot purchase tortilla warmer and a gluten-free something.
Okay, so we're averaging out at a 4 for Joe, for sure. Okay, let's move to our moralist, Marmee. Wait. Laura Dern, always a 5 out of 5.
I was like, it's Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Marmee, I think like a 4 for me. I don't know. But only because of the conversation we just had about her sometimes acting too much out of moral to the detriment of the family. I think that's a really interesting point.
I think she's like a 3 with an Alpine without accessories. So like a 3.5.
Wow. Okay, Sly?
See, the character I would give a 3, but Laura Dern I would give a 5. So I'm just gonna go for a solid 4, I guess.
Alexis?
The same.
Okay, we're averaging out at a 4 for this one. My hot take about this film is that Laura Dern should have had a double nomination. She won for Marriage Story.
Yeah.
In this year of the Oscars. So she did win an Oscar, but I think that they decided not to campaign her because she was campaigning with Marriage Story. And I don't agree with that. She should have been campaigning for this role. She did a great job with it.
Yeah.
That's my hot take. Okay. Our next moralist is Beth.
She dies, so 5.
5 out of 5. I love her so much.
Alexis?
Can I pass on this one?
Yep, you can pass. I also want to pass on this one because I don't know where I end up with Beth. So y'all win with your 5-star rating for Beth.
I mean, I have no justification. I just like can't say anything bad about her because she dies.
All right. That's fair. That's fair. Okay. Now we're on to the realists. Let's start with Amy.
5.
5 for me too.
I love her.
Slide.
Okay, so again, character-wise, I would go with 2, but Florence Pugh would get a 5. So we're gonna average out to 3 full alpines and 1 without accessories. So like a 3.5.
Okay. Alexis?
4.
Okay, I think we're averaging out on like a 4 and a tortilla warmer.
Yeah.
We're like somewhere in there. Okay, great. Lots of love. And Sylvan's just like all 5 alpine. Everyone's a superstar. I love it. Okay. Our Aunt March is next. Meryl Streep.
See, this is hard because it's Meryl Streep, but then it's also Aunt March.
I think Aunt March is
5 out of 5, both on both fronts. 10 out of 5.
Aunt March is really trying to make sure that these girls like have what they need to. Like if Marmee is the moralist, right? Like Aunt March is the realist. Like, yeah, you can do all these things, but also like let's get some heat in your house. Like marry a man that can buy you.
Berating Meg at her wedding like you've made the worst decision you could possibly make.
But I do appreciate someone who is entirely themselves the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think it's like 4 and a tortilla warmer for me.
Okay, you have to, if you don't specify where the tortilla warmer was purchased, I don't know how valuable
Home
the
Depot
tortilla
purchased
warmer is.
tortilla
Home Depot
warmer.
tortilla warmer.
A store that famously does not sell tortilla warmer.
Nor do they sponsor us. Call me.
Correct. I can agree with that. Alexis, what about you?
I'm going to say a 4, but just 4.
Great.
Slide?
Oh, 10 out of 5.
You're fine. Okay, we're somewhere between a 4 and a 5 and an ambiguous amount of tacos and tortilla warmers. Okay, now we're gonna get into some characters that we have not categorized. Okay, so we can just go right into the rating. Let's start with Lori. Marissa?
3 and 1 with accessories. Like a 3.5.
Sly?
-5. Sorry, Liz.
Work.
Thank you.
Alexis? 0.
Mm-hmm. I could not stand Lori.
Oh, he's the worst. 5 from me.
I did write in my note, I hate men. Sorry, Liz.
Yeah.
So I think he's coming out at like a 2 if you average out the -5, the +5, 0. Like we're somewhere in that range.
Maybe 2 alpines with food poisoning, something like that.
No accessories. No accessories. None. Okay, Frederick, the professor.
2. That poor man.
3.
Alexis? 2. I'm also gonna go with the 3 because the dancing scene with him and Joe caught me in a different way this time. I was like, I forgot about that after they see the play.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them. Okay, Papa Odenkirk, father of the family.
In this adaptation, 2, only because it's Bob Odenkirk. He's just like not there.
That's what I was gonna say. 0. He didn't show up.
I was really excited to see him.
He has a great entrance, but
yeah. Also, you know what? I love a man that makes himself invisible. I'll give him a 3.
That's true.
Fair enough. I don't love a man who doesn't support his family, though.
Bob Odenkirk said Little Women. Got it. That's not me. Let me do what needs to be done and get my check and leave. Okay, the neighbor, Mr. Lawrence. I'm going to go ahead and give him a 4 because I like how gentle he is in this adaptation.
Mm.
Like he's got like a soul to him that's like quite nice.
Yeah.
And changes. He has growth.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be like 3 and 1 with no accessories.
Okay.
Like a 3.5.
Why?
I would have given him a 4 after I watched. But then Alexis watched and thought that he was going to have improper relations with Beth, and that ruined it for me. And so now he's down to a 2 because every time I see him, I just picture like that being the direction the story went in.
I don't know. I mean, he was an older man that wanted this woman to come play his piano like by herself in the house. Like,
Points are being made. Points are being made.
I thought that was a little strange. And then the hug over his gift, it was a long hug. And that's when I was like, Sly, my dearest husband, if this is going to be a situation, I need to know now. So yeah, 3 out of 5.
Okay, we're going for a 3. Okay, and the last character, John Brooke.
1.
This is Meg's husband.
I had no
Meg's
clue
husband. The tutor, and then Meg ends up marrying him. And then he needs
Watson?
a coat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I give him a 4 because I'm giving him 1 more than I gave Meg, because he went into that marriage with a very realistic take on what their life would be and was very upfront on what their situation would be, and I respect that. And it's Meg's fault for being like, I'll be in love and I'll be happy, I don't care what my situation is, and then had to face the harsh reality of like worrying about keeping the heat on.
Yeah, that's true.
And he deserved better.
Honestly, like, I agree with that analysis. I'm with you. Alexis? 3? Okay. I think we've done it. I think we've made it through all the characters. What a treat. And you know what? We didn't do this episode. I did not hijack all of your time to talk about Timothée Chalamet, so everyone deserves to praise me for that.
Congratulations.
So if we had had more time, I would have. There are so many funny notes that we took while watching this. Why don't we sign off and each share one that stands out to us? I'll start. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Producer Liz. I am talking about the Cannes Film Festival. Oh my God, there's so much to talk about there. Killer of the Flower Moon premiered today. We're going to talk about that on TikTok. Charles Melton is having a moment, which is very unexpected. And we're going to talk about that too. And The Little Mermaid's premiering. And there's like a bazillion press things going on, including Barbie. So if you're interested in any of that, you can follow me everywhere at Producer Liz. And what else? That's probably it. I'll leave it there. My big video that I'm trying to make will be out at some point. I need to give a shout out to my incredible partner who never sits down to watch Little Women with me, but sits beside me and does other things and then watches it with me that way, and just has the most incredible commentary in the world, and had 4 things to say which were funnier than all of my notes combined. And one was, Laurie was the first man to go viral. Jesus was the first. In relation to Little Women having such mass recognition around the world and everyone collectively hating Laurie. I thought that was such a slay comment to make. And he also has yet to recover from the back and forth between Laurie and Joe. What does she call you? My Lord. So
yeah,
that's such a moment that is just wild in this film. So those are the notes I will end this on. Marissa?
I'm Marissa. You can find me everywhere on the internet at Missa Bobissa. I'm sure I'll be talking more about the Wicked movie. I still haven't addressed the fact that Jonathan Bailey has a blonde streak in his hair as Fiyero. That video will be coming soon. And yeah, I don't know what else is coming up for me. That's it. Look out for that. And my favorite note that I just found is after I had already cried 3 times, I wrote at the end of the movie, I'm crying because it's just so pretty. It's just a good movie. Which it is.
Sly.
You can find me not super everywhere yet. You can find me having strong feelings about sports on Twitter, and you can find me next Thursday talking about 911 and 911 Lone Star with my lovely co-host JJ on Thirsty Thursday. And my favorite note from our document is from Alexis, who says, "Did going to the sea actually make people stronger? ? This feels like something Sly knows." To which I gave way more information than you could ever want about
When have I
Going to
ever
the
turned
sea.
down information? Do you know me?
And Alexis.
I am at just Alexis Blake. Theoretically, I'm on TikTok and Instagram, but in practice, it depends on how the Adderall is Adderalling. And there are two notes that I would like to highlight from my husband Sly's notes of the movie. The first is, "Oh, Miss Flo is such a fun Amy," which I would like to highlight because excellent use of Miss Flo, 10 out of 10. And then there is a line, and Sly does this quite a bit, and it's always my favorite thing, but this says, "Something, something, art inspired by life, something, something, the autobiographical nature of classics." And I really appreciate a something, something. It's my favorite. So.
I will say, I also do have to get a shout out to something I put in my notes since y'all didn't mention that. I did during the one frickin' scene just open up TikTok and find
Oh, yes, you did put a
Macy
link.
doing the Little Women as Fleabag, and I just I saw that scene start, I opened up TikTok and I put it in the notes.
Shout out Mac Reacts, right? Incredible. All right, team, that's another after party wrapped. We will see you next week to talk about Had It Up, and now it's gone. What are we talking about?
Taylor Monk Cinematic Universe, Liz.
There it is. There it is. Beautifully said. So we'll post all the episodes that we're watching on Instagram and Twitter at After Party Show with no W on the end. Thank you, Marissa, for probably being the one to do that. And you can watch along with us next week, and we'll talk all about it next Saturday. Bye, everyone.